Tonight, somewhere in America, a homeless man living in his car will sit down to a hot dinner, fill a gallon jug with clean drinking water, and stock a week of groceries for less than the price of one fast food combo. Some nights he spends nothing at all. He isn't lucky, and he isn't begging. He's tapped a free food and water network that runs through every American town, a network most housed people never notice. Today, 10 hacks people on the road use to tap it, and 5 expensive mistakes that drain grocery money from people in vehicles, because mistake number 5 has put people in the emergency room. The methods you're about to see come from people who fed themselves out of a Honda for 3 years on a few dollars a day. They work because they had to. So let's start with the single phone call that unlocks everything else. Hack number 1. Dial 211 and map the food bank network. There is a free national helpline that connects you to every food pantry, meal program, and assistance service in your county. And it's one of the best kept open secrets in the country. You dial 211 from any phone, tell them roughly where you are, and an operator reads you a list. Which church pantry is open Tuesday morning? Which food bank warehouse does drive-through distribution Friday? Which community fridge sits behind the library? One call maps your whole area, and the veterans of the road make that call the first day they roll into a new town. And here's the part that matters for someone living in a vehicle. The overwhelming majority of food pantries do not require a fixed address. Many don't require ID at all, just your name and your word. A typical pantry visit puts a full box in your hands. Canned vegetables, pasta, peanut butter, bread, sometimes fresh produce and frozen meat. Visit 2 pantries a week and the pantry box becomes your grocery store. Nobody interrogates you, nobody photographs you. And the volunteers handing out boxes have usually seen every kind of hard luck there is. That box solves groceries. But there are nights when what a person really needs is a hot plate and a warm room. And that's a different network entirely. Hack number 2. Ride the community meal circuit. In almost every American town, somebody is serving a free hot dinner nearly every night of the week. Monday might be the Methodist church basement. Wednesday, the Catholic parish hall. Friday, a community kitchen run by volunteers who've been doing it for 20 years. Hot food, a warm room, and no questions asked. The people who live this life keep a small notebook or a note on their phone with the weekly schedule, and they rotate through it the way a person with a house rotates through favorite recipes. Sunday churches often put on a coffee hour or potluck after the service, and visitors are genuinely welcome whether they sit through the sermon or not. Here's what surprises people the most. These rooms are not sad places. They're full of retirees, low-wage workers, single parents, and travelers, and half the value is the conversation and the local knowledge that gets traded over the meal. Somebody at that table knows which mechanic is honest, which lot the police leave alone, and which pantry gives double portions. The meal feeds you once. The information feeds you all month. And if you're on the older end of the road community, there's a version of this built specifically for you. Hack number 3. The senior meal programs almost nobody uses. If you're 60 or older, America has an entire nutrition system with your name on it, funded for decades and chronically underused. Senior centers across the country serve hot lunches 5 days a week. And here's the detail that matters. Those meals run on a suggested donation, not a price. You give what you can, and if you can give nothing, you still eat. Nobody at the door checks your bank balance. The same system runs home-delivered meal programs, and many will deliver to wherever you consistently are, which some vehicle dwellers arrange through a church address or a friend's driveway. On top of that, regional food banks run mobile pantry trucks that park at senior centers and community lots on a monthly schedule, loading boxes straight into your trunk. For a retiree living in a van on a Social Security check, the senior center is a triple win. A hot lunch, a warm building with restrooms and outlets, and a room full of people your own age who don't ask why you drove there in your home. But free food is only half the picture, because the grocery store itself is quietly giving food away too. You just have to know the clock. Hack number 4. Learn the markdown schedule. Every grocery store in America marks food down on a schedule, and the people who eat well on almost nothing have memorized it. Bakery departments pull bread and pastries the day before the date on the bag and sell them at half price or less on the day-old rack, the cheapest calories in the entire building. Meat departments mark down 50 to 70% in the evening or early morning as products approach their sell-by date, and that marked-down chicken is perfectly good if it's cooked or iced down that day. Produce departments bag up blemished fruit and vegetables for $1 or $2. The veterans walk in, go straight to the manager's special shelf and the clearance corner, and build their meals around whatever's there instead of shopping from a list. Ask a stocker what time markdowns happen at that store, and most will just tell you. Time your weekly shop to that window, and your grocery bill drops by more than half without a single coupon. And in the last few years, technology quietly opened another markdown hometown door that many people over 50 have never heard of. Hack number 5. Surplus apps and salvage grocery stores. There are free phone apps where restaurants, bakeries, and grocery stores sell their end-of-day surplus for a few dollars a bag. You reserve on the phone, walk in at closing time, and carry out a mystery bag of food that was headed for the trash, often worth 3 or 4 times what you paid. Bakeries are the famous ones. Whole bags of bread and pastries for the price of a coffee. Then there's the salvage grocery store, one of the best-kept secrets in rural and small-town America. These discount stores buy dented cans, short-dated stock, and overrun products from the big chains and sell them for a fraction of supermarket price. A canned goods aisle where nothing costs more than $1. Bags of rice and pasta for pennies on the retail dollar. People living in vehicles will drive an hour to a good salvage store once a month and stock the whole rig. Combine the salvage store, the markdown shelf, and the pantry box, and you've built a food supply chain that costs almost nothing. But there's one more layer, and it's the one people skip out of stubbornness. It's money you've already paid in. Hack number 6. Food benefits work on the road. A lot of folks in vehicles assume they can't get food assistance because they don't have an address. That's wrong, and the mistake costs them a couple $100s of groceries every single month. Federal food benefits do not require a fixed residence. You can apply as homeless, use a shelter, a relative's address, or general delivery at the post office for your paperwork, and interviews can be done by phone. The benefit loads onto a card that works at any grocery store in the country, which is perfect for someone whose home has wheels. And there are 2 bonus layers people miss. Many farmers markets run matching programs that double your benefit dollars on fresh produce, turning $10 into $20 at the market stalls. And in a number of states, certain people who are homeless, elderly, or disabled can use benefits on hot prepared meals at participating restaurants. You funded this program with every paycheck you ever earned. Filing the application takes an afternoon at the library, and the librarians will help you do it. Now, food in the trunk is only worth something if you can turn it into dinner, which brings us to the $20 kitchen. Hack number 7. Cook like the road veterans do. A single burner camp stove costs about $20, and a small fuel canister runs a couple dollars more. That little stove is the highest return purchase in vehicle living because it unlocks the cheapest food in America, the stuff that needs cooking. Rice, beans, lentils, oatmeal, eggs, and pasta cost pennies per serving and fill you up in a way gas station food never will. One pot, one spork, a little salt and hot sauce, and a person can eat 2 solid meals a day for $2 or $3 total. The veterans cook in the open air at a park or a rest area, never inside a closed vehicle, both for safety and for stealth. And when there's no stove, the road provides. Gas station microwaves are free to use. Most stations have a hot water spigot on the coffee machine that turns instant oatmeal or noodle cups into a hot meal for 50 cents, and a can of soup rides just fine on a dashboard in the summer sun until it's warm. Cooking is the difference between surviving on this budget and actually living on it. But every one of those meals depends on the one supply that outranks food itself. Hack number 8. Build the complete free water system. Experienced vehicle dwellers treat water the way a homeowner treats the kitchen faucet, and they build it in 3 pieces. The first piece is the map. City parks have fountains and hose spigots. Cemeteries keep taps running near the flower stations where nobody minds a quiet visitor. Highway rest areas and truck stops have potable taps, and town halls and libraries have bottle-filling stations right in the lobby. A gas station will usually let you fill a jug if you ask politely and buy a coffee, and when you want it filtered, the refill machine outside most grocery stores charges about 25 cents a gallon. That's a few dollars a month for all the drinking water one person needs. The second piece is storage. 2 or 3 sturdy 1-gallon jugs for drinking water, refilled on rotation so you're never running dry, kept up front where the cab's temperature stays steadier. Then 1 collapsible 5-gallon container from the camping aisle for wash water, dishes, and sponge baths filled from any spigot since it never touches your lips. The third piece is insurance. A basic squeeze filter or a small bottle of purification drops from the camping section turns any questionable tap or stream into safe drinking water for years, and it weighs a few ounces. Map, storage, insurance. Top off every time you pass a source, and water simply stops being a bill. Now, before the last 2 hacks, a quick word. The 10 methods in this video are the ones that fit in 18 minutes. The full system people actually run out there. The route planning maps, the exact words to use when asking a manager or a church office, the state-by-state benefit details, is too long and too specific to cover here, so I put all of it in one place. The Van Life Savings Manual. If you're living in a vehicle right now, preparing in case you ever have to, or looking out for someone who's out there tonight, that's where the complete playbook lives. The link is in the description below, or just scan the QR code on your screen. Now let's finish the system, because free groceries only stretch so far without one more quiet source most people drive past every single day. Hack number 9, the quiet church funds. Beyond the pantries and the dinners, thousands of American churches keep something most people have never heard of: a benevolence fund. It's a small pool of money the congregation sets aside specifically to help people in a rough patch, and it usually goes out as grocery store gift cards, gas cards, or a paid utility bill. You don't have to be a member, and in most cases, you don't have to attend a service. You call the church office during the week, ask if they have a benevolence or deacons fund, and explain your situation in 2 sentences. Organizations like the Salvation Army and St. Vincent de Paul run bigger versions of the same thing, with food vouchers and emergency assistance, and the 211 operator from hack number 1 can tell you which ones are active in your county. The people who've been on the road longest treat these funds as the bridge for the truly bad weeks. The stretch between benefit deposits or after a repair bill empties the envelope. It's not a lifestyle, it's a lifeline, and the folks who run these funds would rather hand you a $50 grocery card than find out later you went hungry in their parking lot. With that bridge in place, there's just one hack left, and it's the one that ties all 10 together into a life that actually runs itself. Hack number 10, the one-loop food route. Watch someone struggle in a vehicle and you'll see them driving all over town. A pantry here, a cheap meal there, burning gas money that erases everything they saved on food. The people who make this work flip it. They sit down once and chain everything into a single weekly loop. Monday morning, the mobile pantry at the fairgrounds. Then the salvage store on the same side of town. Then the grocery markdown shelf during the evening markdown hour, the water refill machine out front, and the cemetery spigot on the way back to camp. One loop, one day, one splash of gas, and the vehicle sits the rest of the week while they walk or bike to the senior center lunch. The route turns 10 separate hacks into one boring, reliable routine. And boring is the goal, because boring means fed. That's the whole system. But knowing where the free food is only protects you if you dodge the traps, because the road punishes food mistakes brutally, and every one of these 5 has emptied somebody's wallet. Mistake number 1, the paperwork lapse. Food benefits are not a set it and forget it deal. Every few months, the state asks you to recertify, a short form and sometimes a phone interview, and here's where life on the road bites. The notice goes to an address you no longer check, the deadline slides past, and the card simply stops loading. A couple $100s of groceries a month gone. Not because you stopped qualifying, but because an envelope sat in a mailbox 2 states behind you, and getting reinstated means starting the application over from zero. The veterans treat the recertification date like a court date. They write it on the sun visor. They route their paperwork through general delivery at the post office or a trusted relative, and they ask for phone interviews the day the notice arrives. 10 minutes of paperwork protects the single biggest line item in this whole lifestyle, which brings us to the smallest purchase that quietly adds up to the dumbest one. Mistake number 2, the gas station water bottle. Watch the register at any truck stop and you'll see it all day long. $2, sometimes $3, for a single bottle of water bought by somebody parked 50 feet from a refill machine that sells a full gallon for a quarter. Do that twice a day and you've spent over $100 a month on the one supply this country gives away for free. The 2-jug system from hack number 8 pays for itself in the first week, and after that, every bottle you don't buy is grocery money. The road veterans keep one filled jug within arm's reach of the driver's seat for exactly this reason. Thirst makes bad math feel reasonable, and the cure is having the free water already in the cup holder. But the most expensive mistake on this list doesn't cost money at all. It costs meals. Mistake number 3, the pride tax. This is the mistake that quietly starves more people on the road than any other. They drive past the food pantry because they think it's for someone worse off. They skip the senior lunch because they don't want anyone to know. They never file for food benefits because it feels like charity. Listen, you paid into these programs your entire working life, every paycheck, every tax season. Using them now is collecting on a policy you already bought. The pantry volunteers want you there. The senior center wants you there. Pride doesn't fill a stomach, and the people who've been out there longest will tell you they regret every hungry month they spent being too proud to walk through a free door. Mistake number 4, the dead coolers. Somebody scores markdown chicken and a pantry box full of frozen food, then lets it all die in a hot trunk because they never solved cold storage. $20 of spoiled groceries a week is $1,000 a year, thrown in a dumpster. The fix costs almost nothing. A basic cooler from a thrift store, a bag of ice every couple of days, and the discipline to buy perishables only on the day you'll cook them. In winter, the vehicle itself is the refrigerator. The rule the veterans live by is simple: never buy cold food without a cold cold plan. Mistake number 5. The emergency room meal. This is the one from the beginning, and it's the most expensive plate of food in America. Meat that sat warm too long, mayonnaise salads from a hot cooler, dented cans that were bulging instead of just dinged. Food poisoning in an apartment is a miserable weekend. Food poisoning in a vehicle alone in the heat can turn into severe dehydration fast, and the ambulance ride plus the emergency room visit can bill out at thousands of dollars, wiping out years of careful savings in one night. The rules are old and simple. Keep cold food cold. Cook meat through. When in doubt, throw it out. And never eat from a bulging or rusted can, no matter how cheap it was. Free food is only free if it stays down. So there it is. 10 ways to eat and drink for almost nothing, learned from people who had no choice but to figure it out, and 5 traps that turn a tight month into a disaster. Dial the helpline. Walk the meal circuit. Shop the markdown clock. Claim what you already paid for. Carry your water. Cook your own dinner. And run it all on one loop. Everything that didn't fit in this video is in the Van Life Savings Manual, linked in the description. And hit subscribe, because next week I'm covering how vehicle dwellers stay warm all winter without running the engine, and the one heating mistake that's genuinely deadly. That one might save a life.